Al Bernstein here for the Boxing Channel in San Juan, Puerto Rico, alongside Carl Moretti, the Vice President of Top Rank Boxing, who promoted what turned out to be a scintillating boxing match tonight in which Orlando Salido defended his featherweight crown and again beat Juan Lopez, this time by a 10th round stoppage in their big featherweight fight. And Carl, this fight had so many layers to it. The first part is, of course, that it was a spectacular fight, and it produced in round 9 a great round. You've been in the boxing game for a long time. That round 9 was one of the best I've seen in years.
Yeah, ironically, I go back to round 9 of Gaddy Ward, where where you could come up with a round where it had such give and take. But it's going to be easily a fight of the year candidate, and obviously a round of the year candidate, no question.
And you made the point here at the press conference in talking to the press that one thing that can be said about Juan Lopez, he fought much better in this fight than he did in the first fight with Salido, even in a losing effort, and was hurt often in that fight early, and yet managed to come back with a rally.
I think it was a result of the rededication he had in this training camp. He knew that how much his fight meant. You saw the whole week how his body looked. It was defined better. He made the weight with no problem. It was 100% dedication for this fight, and the result was his performance in the ring. Came up a little short, but you can't. You got to give Salido credit. Well,
let's talk about Orlando Salido, a 31-year-old veteran who started boxing at age 15 and who now has pulled off 2 tremendous wins in the other guy's hometown against a fighter that was undefeated and on his way to legendary status. Orlando Salido is really, I think, what boxing is all about in terms of somebody carving out a tremendous story for themselves.
Well, as opposed to those 31-year-old starters, he is a veteran. But,
yeah, that's true.
But yeah, you have to give him credit, and a lot of this was made that the first win on his part was a fluke, but it really wasn't. People know how tough a fighter Salido is, and for him to take that kind of punishment and just keep answering it and firing back shows that he's a tough out for anybody now, and the way to fight him is not in front of him. You just got to Pernell Whitaker him. If there was a Pernell Whitaker at 126, that's the only type of style that's going to give him problems.
And the interesting thing about this fight is in round 5, Juan Lopez landed a very short, tremendous right hook as Salido was coming forward. So the power of that short punch and Salido's momentum knocked him down. He was hurt badly. It was toward the end of the round, and he showed his resilience.
He was hurt really bad because you saw him take the full count, and you wondered if he was going to get up for a second. You also wonder if it gave Juanma a false sense of confidence because he kept, pointing like, come on, come on, come on. And if he would have had a little bit more legs, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah,
and stayed on the outside more, maybe it would have been different. But we're not the guys fighting, and in the middle of Puerto Rico with a crowd going crazy and chanting Juanma, no fighter's going to get on their bike. They're going to just fight, and that's what they do, and that's why you love them so much.
Yeah, and certainly not Juan Lopez. Now, for Top Rank, and for the fighters that were involved in this whole card tonight, it sets up an interesting scenario because Mikey Garcia, young featherweight challenger, 24-year-old, beat Bernabe Concepcion, knocking him out tonight and performing very well in the process. There is talk that Garcia could fight the winner of this fight. Is that likely?
I think eventually it's likely. I don't know if it's the next fight. I think, that's the type of fight that maybe needs, maybe one more fight in between just to gain the profile of Salido on the West Coast and Garcia on the West Coast, so that when it does happen, which I think it'd be at some time this year, it's a bigger fight.
Probably on the West Coast, where obviously they both have a lot of fans.
Yeah, I don't think you'll see it in Atlantic City, but that's where we'll end up with it most likely.
Just a guess on your part.
Just a wild guess.
Yeah, all right. Carl, an amazing night of boxing tonight. Despite how anyone saw the scoring at the time of the stoppage or the stoppage itself, which I think you thought was appropriate, Juan Lopez didn't. However anyone saw this, maybe the headline of the night is that we had a phenomenal fight.
Yeah, I think, it's so easy now to nitpick and criticize and take the bad out of what happened, whether it's the scoring or the stoppage or this or that. And everybody should just sit back and appreciate what boxing is and what it can be. And tonight was an example of that.
Yeah, round 9 alone was worth the price of admission for anybody, whether they wherever they watched. Carl, thanks very much. Carl Moretti, from the Vice President of Top Rank, here on a night where we all watched some very special boxing, and Orlando Salido did it again, beating Juan Manuel Lopez.